Now we're going to learn how to work with shapes and lines. We're going to go back to the shape that we were working with last time. I'm going to take the shape back to a solid color by clicking on Apply Color in the toolbar. So first I want to select the shape and then press Apply Color. I then want to click outside of that shape so that everything I do from now on isn't going to be affected by this rectangle. So you can see that it's now deselected. Now let's draw another shape on top of it. In the rectangle tool, you can see that mine's currently an ellipse. I'm going to click and hold. And this tool will have the rectangle, ellipse, and polygon. I'm going to use the polygon right now. In the polygon, I can create a shape that has as many sides as I define. So you can see here, my polygon currently has a ton of sides and has an inset. If I wanted to change this, I would just double click on the polygon tool and I could change this. So we're going to change it to 20 sides with a 10% inset and press enter. So you can see kind of what that looks like. Now with my select tool, I'm going to move that shape over the top of the rectangle and make it bigger. Right now it's empty, but I can fill it just like I filled the rectangle. So I would click Apply Color. But if they're both the same color, it's hard to distinguish where one starts and one ends. So we're going to fill it with another color by going to our swatches panel and selecting a different color. Now, right now the blue I selected is in full saturation. At the top of the swatches panel, there's a tint controller. I click on this triangle. I can change the tint by adding white and moving this bar to the left. So you can see that it's still the same color, it just has some white added to it. So tint adds white. I can also have other effects on objects. So I'm going to go to the effects panel now and talk about opacity. Opacity is different than tint. Opacity means that it's going to be see-through. So if I move this slider, you can see that the polygon is now becoming see-through, and I can see the red rectangle behind it. So opacity controls transparency, and tint controls color. So now that I have it a little bit transparent, I'm going to draw one more shape. So I'm going to go back to the polygon tool, click and hold, and choose the ellipse tool. Now with any of these tools, the rectangle, polygon, or ellipse, if I want to maintain a perfect circle or rectangle, I need to hold shift down while I drag the shape. So I'm going to hold shift down and draw an ellipse. An ellipse is just a circle. I'm also going to apply color to this shape. So I'm going to go to my swatches panel and apply a color to this shape. Now, every time I add something to this document, it gets put on top of everything else. We're going to now look at how to control that. So in the object menu, I can go to arrange, and I can bring things forward or send them backwards. Right now, you can see that bring to front and bring forward are grayed out because the ellipse is already on top of everything. So I can't bring it any more forward. I'm going to say send backward to send it one step back. You can see that now the ellipse is behind the polygon. I'm going to do this one more time and send it behind the rectangle. Or I could have pressed send to back and that would send it all the way to the back. You can now see that the ellipse is behind both the rectangle and the polygon. If I were to deselect by going to my select tool and think later, I really want that circle on the top, I'm going to need to select it so that I can arrange it to bring it to the front. But it's difficult when it's hiding behind something because no matter where I click, I'm never going to be able to select the ellipse because it's blocked by two other objects. So let's talk about how to select objects. One way you can select multiple objects is to use your black pointer, which is your select tool. I'm going to click outside of all of the objects and draw a box and around anything that I want to select. So as long as everything's within this marquee, it will select it. So even the circle that is hidden is in the select tool because it's part of that area that I selected. So this is one way to select multiple objects, but it doesn't get me the circle by itself. The shortcut is with nothing selected, hold down your command key and click on the top object. If I click again, it will click the next object, and if I click one more time, it will click the ellipse. Now I can go to Object, Arrange, and Bring to Front. Alright, now I'm going to fit my page to the window by pressing the Command 0, and I'm going to remove all of the objects from the page. So I'm just going to select everything and press delete. Now we're going to talk about inserting a photo. The first thing we're going to do is create a frame for our photo to go into. We're going to use the frame tool, which is right next to our rectangle tool. This is a rectangle, but it has an X going through it. I create a frame the same way that I create a rectangle by clicking and dragging with the tool to create a box. Now I need a photo to put in that box. For our purposes today, we're going to just go and find a photo from the internet. So you will go to Chrome, and I want you to find a football player photo. To your desktop. Once the image is downloaded, we're going to place it in the frame we created. So we're going to go back to InDesign. First, make sure that the frame you created is selected. So click on any of the blue lines in the frame. Now go to File, Place. And then we have our photo right here. So you'll click on the photo and press Open. You can see the image is too large for the box I created, but that's okay. We can make the image fit. To do this, make sure that the image is selected. Now I'll go to Object, Fitting, and Fill Frame Proportionally. You can see that the image fits into the box now. If I double click on the image, it's going to bring up a brown frame. This is the actual size of the photo, so you can see for my purposes, it's about the same size. But what if I wanted to zoom in on his face? I can do this by clicking Shift and pulling the white boxes out to make the photo bigger. I can now click within the frame and drag the photo where I want it to be. Double clicking again will bring back the blue frame. We'll learn more about photos and placing them in the coming lessons, but for now, we're going to delete the photo that we just placed. So we're going to click on the image and press delete. The last tool we're going to talk about today is the pen tool. The pen tool is unique, and it's not very intuitive. So we're going to talk about how it works. You will never use the pen tool to click and drag to draw lines. So our pen tool is right here. That's not what the pen tool is for. The pen tool creates points. They're either sharp points or curved points. And you do this by clicking. So for an instance, if I wanted a straight line with sharp angles, I'm going to click like I just did to create a start point and then click to create an end point. I can hold down Shift if I want them perfectly vertical or horizontal. Pressing delete gets rid of one segment, and pressing delete again will get rid of the whole object. Now, what if I want a curved line? I'm going to click a start point. If I want a curve at the top, I'm going to click and draw the line from here. So I would click to create the start point, and then I would click somewhere else. That would be the end point. I would click and drag, and that's going to curve my line. Now with making these lines, a great design concept that I'm able to do is type on the path that I just created. In the same tool group with the type tool, I'm going to click and hold and select type on path. I'll simply hover over the line or the path I created until a plus sign appears. Then I click and it attaches the cursor for the typing to the line. I'm going to my control bar and choosing the character formatting, which is the A, to make the font a little bigger so that I can see it. With a select all or Command A, I can reformat the type by using those character controls. So I can change what the font looks like, change the size, can do anything up here. The last step is that what if I want it to make it look like the text is floating there and there's no line? I'll do that in the stroke controller. We've worked with the fill control, so now we're going to work with the stroke. I'm first going to click on the select tool so that the font is no longer selected, but that the path I created is selected. I'm then going to come here and click on the stroke, which looks like a frame. Now we're going to go down to the bottom where we click apply color, and we're going to press apply none. So you can see that the path has no color now, so it looks like the type is freely floating in the air. Pretty cool, huh? Now we're going to learn how to save our file. The process is pretty simple. To do this, you're going to go to File, Save As, title your document whatever you want, save the document to where you want it, and press Save. Now you know more about how to manage shapes and elements on your page and understand how to arrange them, how to bring something to the front or send it to the back, how to make it transparent or opaque, how to use your swatches effectively, how to place an image, how to type on a line, and how to save a document.